What's on, ladies and gentlemen? My name's Ross, I like games, and today we need to go for a rules roundup. That's right, ladies and gentlemen, it is a weekend, and we know that on the weekend the lovely folks over at Transformers TCG HQ like to answer a bunch of ruling questions we've sent in during the week. And there's quite a few to get to today. So let's just get rolling, shall we? Starting off, a couple of questions about who actually goes first. And the Transformers chaps have said, well, for casual games, we recommend that the person randomly chosen goes first. Flip a coin, roll a dice, etc. Whoever wins goes first. For more serious competitive games, a player can choose to go first or second. Please do remember that there is no proper organised play right now, so you can really go for whatever rules you like. And similarly, talking about after game one, they said that the player who goes first alternating, which is something that they have talked about in the FAQ, is meant for casual play. I.e., one person goes first in game one, the other one automatically goes first in game two. But in a multi-game structure, best 2 out of 3, they suggest that the loser of game one chooses who goes first for game two. And then if the other player won game two, obviously then the first player would then choose who goes first for the third, final, deciding game. There we go. So starting off with Prowl then. Prowl in bot mode has a very nice ability that says when one of your cars is KO'd, repair 3 damage from one of your other characters. The question asked was, can Prowl use his own ability? And the answer is no. Because in order for Prowl to have his ability, he's got to be in bot mode. In bot mode, he's not a car. So Prowl will never get to heal when he's KO'd, because when Prowl is KO'd, he's not a car. And when a car is KO'd, you get to heal free. But Prowl is not a car. What about Optimus Prime Battlefield Legend? Really the king of these roundup videos, because there's a lot of questions. So when you're attacking, you flip cards to determine the damage. You may then play one of the actions that you flipped. Well, what happens if the character Optimus Prime is fighting has body armor, giving them tough 3, but during the attack, Optimus Prime flips a VAPORIZE to remove it? Does the defender still have tough 3? No. And the reason is, Optimus Prime's skill comes in after you have flipped, but before your opponent has flipped. Which means that tough 3 will get removed by VAPORIZE. When your opponent goes to flip, the body armor is no longer there, and you don't get the tough 3. You don't get the extra flips. Marksmanship. Marksmanship says that if you've got a ranged character on the battlefield, you may do 2 damage to a character in bot mode. What about combiners like Volcanicus? Yeah, they're not in bot mode. They're in a separate combiner mode. It doesn't work. Now, we've got more questions about force field. Where we last left off, the ruling we had was, if a character has 2 force fields attached, and they would take 5 or more damage, one of the force fields is removed, but the other one is not, because one force field kicks in, oh, you're taking more than 5 damage, let me take it down to 4, and then force field goes away. Second force field goes, oh, you're taking 4 damage. No, that's fine, mate. It can go through nicely. Well, the explanation given here is, and this is really relevant for something like Dreadwing, which can have 2 force fields attached. Most characters can't, but this one can. They said force field is a replacement effect, and only one of those applies at a given time. Once that happens, it reduces the initial attack damage to 4, which invalidates the second force field because you're only taking 4 damage. People have been asking about this and how it happens, etc., etc., whether it still makes sense. But what they're saying is they are not simultaneous effects, they are replacement effects. Only one of them happens at a time. The first force field kicks in, reduces the damage done down to 4, and force field gets discarded. The second force field does not kick in, because by the time we look at the second force field, there's only 4 damage actually being done, and force field kicks in when 5 or more damage is being done, not when 4 damage is being done. There we go, ladies and gentlemen. I did get some messages from some people after the rules roundup video last week, asking if they thought this was a mistake, asking if this seemed wrong. And the answer is, it's very clear. When you've got 2 force fields on, like I say, it's only really going to be for Dreadwing. Most characters cannot have 2 utilities at once. But where there are 2 force fields, they do not happen simultaneously. They are replacement effects. Fairly straightforward question, but nice to get a bit of clarification. Field Communicator. Field Communicator, when you put it on a specialist, you scrap the top card of your deck and you may play it. So let's say you attach it to RC. That's the example used in the rules roundup, so let's roll with that one. What if you want to attach another Field Communicator? Well, the rules are very clear. If you've got a utility on a character, you may put a second utility on, but you've got to scrap the first one in doing so. So you can put a second Field Communicator on, it gets rid of the first Field Communicator, but at that point you are attaching a Field Communicator, so yes, you do get to scrap the top card of your deck and if you wish, play it. What about Inferno Breath? Inferno Breath is a nice little card whereby you may tap one of your untapped characters with 5 or more stars and do 3 damage to an enemy. You essentially skip an attack, because you're going to end up with 1 fewer character to attack at some point. But you get to guarantee 3 damage, so it's kind of worth it. Nice. But what happens if that's your last character? Remember, during your turn, you may flip a transformer, play an action, play an upgrade, and now use a tap ability, which was introduced this week for Micromasters. And then at the end of your turn, you attack. So if you use Inferno Breath, then you tap your final character. That doesn't end your turn. You carry on with your turn as normal, doing all the things you're allowed to do. And then at the end of your turn, you go, right, now it's my time to attack. Oh, hang on a second. All of my characters are tapped. I can't attack. And the question was, well, whose turn is it then? And this is another one of those questions where the answer is, don't overthink it. It's the end of your turn. You have a look. Are you able to attack? No. All my characters are tapped. It's the end of your turn. What happens at the end of your turn? It's your opponent's turn. Cool. Nice. What about Grimlock and Motormaster? So Grimlock has a great skill. Incidentally, the ruling here would be exactly the same if it was any character after you played a steamroll, which essentially gives any character Grimlock's ability. So Grimlock, if you do enough damage to KO and then a bit more, it gets redirected to another character. However, this has been clearly ruled to be non-attack damage, and in alt mode, Motormaster says your other characters cannot take non-attack damage from your opponent's cards. Well, what happens if Grimlock does too much damage to KO a Motormaster? Does Motormaster's skill stop that extra damage being transferred over? No. Motormaster is KO'd. It goes to the KO area. And then we say, ooh, I've got some extra damage. Well, Motormaster's not there anymore, ladies and gentlemen. So it just goes away. Battle Masters. Battle Masters came around this week. And they are really fun cards whereby when they are KO'd, they go to the KO area, but then you can immediately attach them to one of your characters as an upgrade. Well, what happens if they're removed by something like VAPORIZE? Now, we know that when they're removed, they go to the KO area. They go to the KO area on the upgrade side, which means you wouldn't be able to use something like I Still Function. This, incidentally, wasn't in the ruling, but it seems pretty gosh darn clear. Because you don't have the character in the KO area, you have the upgrade in the KO area. And what happens in terms of emergency maintenance? Now, emergency maintenance says repair 1 damage from one of your characters. If you have more stars of characters in your KO area than you have on the battlefield, repair 2 more damage from that character. This does nothing for emergency maintenance because the character has the star cost, not the upgrade, and the character is not in the KO area, the upgrade is. So emergency maintenance wouldn't work. While we're talking about Battle Masters, When you KO one, does it count as a KO, given that they then get attached as an upgrade? The answer is it is a KO. They do go to the KO area, and then they flip to the upgrade side. Cool. It is a KO. Life is good. And speaking of which, you play the upgrade side. Does that mean you are upgrading a character, triggering effects, like, for instance, Wheeljack in alt mode? Now, for those of you that may have forgotten, in alt mode, Wheeljack has a rather nice skill. When you upgrade one of your cars, you draw a card, then scrap a card from your hand. And the answer is yes. It is just playing an upgrade. And they did confirm, though it wasn't specifically asked, this does not count as your upgrade for your turn. Although really it's not on your turn, it's on your opponent's turn, because that's when they are removing it. Although to be fair, it could be removed on your turn, because there are cards which let you remove your own upgrades. Okay then, so where were we? Metroplex. Here's a nice awkward one. And then we got a couple really easy ones to finish off with. So you've got Metroplex, and Metroplex has a backup beam, which gives you bold 2. And a debilitating crystal, which, when you attack, you return one of the defending character's upgrades to the owner's hand. Your opponent has a Menasor with Stunticon Swagger attached. Now, Stunticon Swagger is an upgrade for Stunticons, which says that enemies cannot use bold or tough. You then play height advantage to give you bold 4 as you are a Titan. You're trying, obviously, to get Metroplex's ability, which is great, just so long as you flip 2 white, 2 blue, and 2 orange icons. When you attack, what happens? The answer is Debilitating Crystal removes Stunticon Swagger, so you can go ahead, and you've got bold 6. Yay! Now a couple quick ones just to finish off with. Does Thrust count as a tap ability, like we saw on the Micromasters? No. Although it is functionally the same, it doesn't say tap. It's not a tap ability. It doesn't have the symbol. And similarly, when a player uses Peace Through Tyranny to get an extra turn, but they have no characters to attack with because they're all tapped, what happens? Well, you can play a card, an upgrade. Then you can play another card, an action. You can flip one of your Transformers. You can't use a tap ability because by definition of the question, you don't have any untapped characters. And then at the end of your turn, you go, oh, I'm going to attack. Oh, wait a second. I don't have any characters, or no untapped characters with which I can attack. It's my opponent's turn. There we go. Harkening back to earlier in the video. So there we go, ladies and gentlemen. Quite a lot of rulings to go through this week. I hope they made sense. But as always, if they didn't, there is a comment section. That's where you should go and ask your questions. Or tell me what you think about the rulings. Or just say hello. Go nuts. But please do remember to be nice. And then make sure you like this video, subscribe to this channel, and follow me on Twitter at the Wossy, where we talk about games like Transformers, but also a whole bunch of others. But by far the most important thing, as always, look after yourselves till next time. Thank you very much for watching. My name's Ross, and you've been watching Wossy Plays.